Hey guys, it's been a while, over 2 weeks to be fair. I've been a bit busy with some shit, but here I am and I welcome you to How to Dwarf, a campaign edition. Dwarves are a unique bunch of stunty Scottish alcoholics who are technologically potent but magically impotent, which makes them the only faction that doesn't make use of magic, which is a big no-no, since, as we all know, magic can turn the tide of majority of battles. However, in return all dwarven units, lords and heroes, come with natural 25% magic resistance, as fighting anything that isn't a Scottish midget from another clan over a gold mine dispute would do that to you when generations of your people have been pancaked by Gork over a billion times by now. They also utilize runes from runesmiths, which can buff allies and debuff enemies around them. It's kind of like magic, but not really, because there's no boom to it, so it doesn't count. Right? Another thing you may notice about them is that they're also the only faction that doesn't wield any polearms, spears or halberds. As nothing says, "Hey, I have the biggest cojones laddie," than slaying a demigrave knight when you can barely reach his feet, because he didn't know that most dwarven infantry come with charge defense versus large, or expert charge defense at higher tiers. These autistic mountain dwellers like to pretend they're wheels for the fucking Trogram mobile. Anyway, anytime I play as the dwarves I think of Scotland, and when I think of Scotland only this image comes to my mind. Moving on, we already mentioned that dwarves are magically inept. On top of that, they aren't fit for Olympic running.
Come, Gimli! We're gaining on them!
I'm wasted on cross country! We dwarves are natural sprinters! Very dangerous over short distances!
Out of all the midget races in the Warhammer world, they're the slowest, because if you take a man, half his size, but keep the same weight, you're going to end up with a small heavy man, or a stunty, who can't run to save his life, since dwarves don't use mounts unlike their Tolkien cousins, which is a missed opportunity in my opinion. Being the slowest army, they're not the best at flanking, which leaves them with little offensive capabilities, unless you charge head first, but that idea is as good as drinking bleach. Little do I have to say, it's not good. Instead, they further slow themselves down by cladding themselves in armor crafted by the finest 4-foot craftsmen, from their bearded heads to their hairy toes. Their heavy infantry excels at holding the line, with their infamous stubbornness often holding to the last man, while their ranged infantry armed with crossbows, rifles and specialist weapons, along with carefully engineered artillery, ring a symphony of death and destruction against anyone or anything threatening their caracs or in desperate need of a simple grudging. While they do employ gyrocopters, which traverse the land at the speed of 4 dwarfs per hour, I personally don't use them since they don't fit my playstyle. What I like to do is play into their strengths, which consists of turtling in a fucking corner or at the end of the tunnel, which eliminates the AI's ability to flank me and frees up my lads from defending the artillery at the back to actually being useful and standing in the front lines.
But that's cheese. I don't condemn this.
Get the fuck back in your cage or I'm gonna... Getting back on track, this setup tends to do extremely well, especially underground where your enemy is already funneled for you by the battlefield itself, becoming a firing range for your artillery and ranged units but with live targets. Generally speaking, playing as the dwarves, you should rush artillery building, which is a delicious tier 2 ASAP, to get 4 grudge throwers early on before demolishing the building in favor of money or growth. Later you can replace them with a unit of cannons and a few units of organ guns whenever you can.
But what if I lose a grudge thrower during a battle after demolishing the building?
Well, then you are fucked. Along with your lord, bring a couple of dwarf warrior units, make it 6 or 5 if you're brave, I don't care. Later, replace one of them for a rune lord unless you're Karakadrin. They start off with one, later on in the campaign you can swap them out for longbeards or ironbreakers. Fill up the rest of your roster with quarrelers. Later on in the game I tend to swap a few of them for 2 units of thunderers and 1 or 2 units of iron drakes for extra armor penetration oomph against those late game heavies, and an extra 1 or extra dwarf warrior for a master engineer whenever you get access to them, which is no small feat, with the engineer buffing your ranged units and runesmith buffing whatever is holding the front line. You should be well off. The reason I don't use Slayers, Gyrocopters or other dwarven units like Rangers or Quarrelers with great weapons is because A, they shit and bring my economy down, B, there's nothing they can do that artillery, regular Quarrelers or Thunderers can't. Anything larger than a horse can be put down with a volley of artillery combined with ranged units even if it flies, hence shielded infantry is all you need in the front. So yeah, that about wraps it all up. I wasn't sure whether to make this video more in depth with stuff like province development, faction mechanics and legendary lords, as I tried to make it shorter and more entertaining, and there are plenty of informative videos on the topic already, but let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see that coming from me for future races. Still figuring out the new editing software I use? Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, slap the thumbs up, leave a nice comment, subscribe, maybe if you would be so kind, I guess. Having said that, have a great day guys.